Aleph Zero is really impressive. It's a small little underdog that nobody has on the radar. There are many things to like except
the marketing.
I mean, seriously, blockchain minus the weight. Nobody is going to adopt a new blockchain that's not even EVM compatible, where you can't even use MetaMask, just on the unique selling point of being faster. Everything seems to be faster. Solana is faster than Ethereum. Avalanche is faster than Ethereum. Heck, even the Binance Smart Chain is faster. A better tagline would be private high security blockchains for enterprises. I just hacked this here together. This is not the official website. Because really, that's what Aleph Zero is all about. It's a directed acyclic graph, so a DAG similar to Cassper. So that gives us the speed and the scalability. But at the same time, it's proof of stake. So you don't need to manage miners, etc. It's relatively easy to set up. And that's what founder Matthew Niemerk is actually selling in interviews. He's a PhD in mathematics, and in interviews he talks about how the technology can enable enterprises to suddenly collaborate without actually having to share the data. So here's the problem with public blockchains. On blockchains you can see all the data. So this doesn't allow you to store anything sensitive. You can't store your social security number, you can't store customer data, you can't store anything that can't be exposed worldwide. But as an enterprise, a lot of your data is exactly that, right? It's proprietary. You do want to use that data, you don't want to expose it necessarily, but you might want to use it to collaborate with other enterprises. So the fundamental idea of Aleph Zero is that every single enterprise can run their own blockchain and then connect it to the public ledger. As a company, you can integrate something called ZK rollups, zero knowledge rollups. You can prove that you own the data, you can prove that there is data, but you don't have to share the specific data to external parties. Currently, there are all these little data silos within every single company. And every company does their own little thing, trying to compete with one another. They can't really collaborate whenever sensitive data needs to be shared. But both companies would actually benefit if they could share some metadata at least. Let's say you want to train a machine learning algorithm and company A has some data, company B has some data. They don't want to share that exact data with one another, but they both want to train the same model and getting the results in the end. ZK rollups implemented in Aleph Zero would allow for that. Another use case. You are company A, you want to buy company B. Now you buy company B because of its customer data. You think, okay, maybe I can use these customers and sell them my own products. So you simply just buy it for the customer data. Now that other company cannot share the customer data because then all the value has already been transferred, right? You want to buy that in order to get access to the customer data. At the same time, you might already have some of those customers. So you are in the same line of business and there might be an overlap of customers. Now your purchasing price is only dependent on what other kind of customers that company has, right? You already own some, but only the delta is interesting. Now you can only determine the delta once you've got the other company's customer data, but you can't get that data. So as a purchaser, you only want to verify, is that customer record that I have already in the database of the other company? And again, without retrieving any specific customer data, you simply just can check, is there a proof that this record exists over there? So again, ZK rollups, zero knowledge proofs. The whole project seems to be very technical focused. The founder team is very technical. It's mainly from Poland, by the way. The GitHub repository is active. The last update had been just 9 hours ago. And there's a collaboration with 2 security firms, one of them being Kudelski Security, the other one being Coin Firm. On top of that, there is a 50 million developer fund to push technology further. Now, this all sounds perfect, right? We've got a technology-driven company that not a lot of people have heard about. They're simply just focused on building stuff, and maybe we can take advantage of that inefficiency. But then I looked a little bit deeper and I found some things I didn't really like that much. This video here on the CoinGecko website is a sponsored video on Aleph Zero. So there is marketing budget apparently. There is an effort to grow the Twitter following. It doesn't work that well for the Telegram following, by the way, that's rather shrinking. But a lot of the social activity is actually around the purchase of the token. Here's the Telegram group. One of the Aleph Zero influencers asked the bot where to buy the token. There's introduced staking support for the Nano Ledger. And when you hit the Blockchain Explorer, the first thing you see is actually the price. The price is over here, it's over here, it's over here. The number of holders are over here. So it's really not that much data focused, which normally blockchain explorers are. This is rather a selling page. Now, when the project is so heavily focused on enterprise solutions, why don't we see more around selling around enterprises? What enterprises are considering or have already adopted Aleph Zero? Why do we see so much effort to sell the token to retail? Let's talk about staking. A lot of the Azero tokens are being staked. The circulating supply is 266 million. The total supply is 336 million. The total staked is 243 million. Now, some people like this a lot. Some people say, okay, there are a lot of people with long-term conviction in the project. They stake to get some rewards. They want to hold the token over the long term. I personally am not a fan of high staking percentages. Because think about it, what does staking really mean? You are artificially constraining supply today in order to push that supply further out in the future with a higher amount. So you don't have the supply today, you've got the supply sometime out in the future. Means in the future, when it gets unstaked, the price will drop much more. This is what we usually see with high stake percentages. We've seen this in Cardano, we've seen this in Hex. Whenever most people stake, we have a supply wall coming up. There are some interesting charts on the Explorer website, for example, the daily transfer amount, the holders over time, the daily fees being used. Interestingly enough, this is growing. Hopefully this is not a bottleneck as in a scalability issue. And yes, we've got a daily vesting schedule as well, which is better shown on the token unlocks page where we currently have our circulating supply, 283 million, and that will grow to 332 million roughly in a year. So supply increase of roughly 18%, 19%. This is the long-term Azero price in US dollars, but we want to look at the relative valuation to Ethereum, right? Because this is more risky than Ethereum. To a degree, it could be regarded as a competitor to ETH as well. More risk should mean more return, but not necessarily so far for Azero. So this is Azero in ETH, went down since January of 2022 to today by 4% with a lot of volatility. If the current trading range is any indication, there is upside of 128% roughly. So yeah, overall, it looks like the team tries to establish a branding of being very technical, but under the hood, behind the scenes, they are shilling the token quite a bit as well. In the docs, the second and the third page is already about how to buy the token and what the tokenomics are. This is rather uncommon. Usually you have way more technical information here first. It's a similar turn off to seeing all those price charts on the Blockchain Explorer, which is also uncommon. So could the token go up in the next bull run? Yes, of course it could. What needs to happen for that, I think, is adoption by enterprises. Seeing partnerships with larger companies that implement Aleph Zero, for example, to train a machine learning algorithm or any other kind of use case. It really doesn't matter. We simply just need to see adoption from enterprises. If this was useful, feel free to subscribe. There's also a Telegram, link is down below.